Hi there, in this video we will talk about the data type in Python, and what we mean by data type is how to record certain number of items, which could be like strings or integer or boolean like true, false or yes, no on Python. And to do that we can use different types. The first one we call it lists, and this is what we are going to discuss it in this video. The next video we will talk about tuple. The third one we talk about sets, and the fourth one about dictionaries. What are the differences between these four data types? First of all, list is a collection or it's a group of items that have been ordered in Python. So they give like 0, 1, 2, 3 for the items, and we can change the items, so they are changeable. And in list, we can duplicate the items. So maybe if we use strings like apple, we can use apple more than one time and it will be accepted. But in the next video, when I talk about tuple, it is a collection of items and it is ordered, but we cannot change it. So once we set up the tuple, we cannot change it, but we can duplicate the items. In the third video, we talk about sets, and it's a collection of items. However, the way they are displayed, it's completely disorganized. And I will show you how we mean by unordered items or disorganized. And the items in sets are not changeable, but we can add to these items. And finally, sets drop off or ignore the duplicated items. And the last video in this series, dictionaries, which is a collection of keys and values, which are ordered like a dictionary, and they are changeable. However, in dictionary, we don't duplicate the items. And please remember the symbols, we use it here to distinguish between those four data types. In lists, we use square brackets. In tuple, we use round brackets. In sets and dictionary, we use curly brackets. With this in mind, let us talk about the first one, which is list. We will talk first about definition. We will define list, how to access the list of the items, how we add more items, remove some items, go around the list, which we call it looping the list, sort the list alphabetically, ascending, descending, copy the list, and so on. So these are the main topics. We will cover it in this video. So with this in mind, let us talk about the definition of the list, which I already mentioned it. It's a group of items that have been ordered in a certain way, which we call it indexed. And this ordering system doesn't change. We can change any certain item in the list, and we can repeat the same item twice, which we call it duplicated value. A good example of the list is here. I create a list, we call it my list. And this list has strings like ABC and male. It has integer like 34 and 40. It has Boolean like true, false. They are ordered in this way. So ABC, it's item number 0, 34, item number 1, true, item number 2, 43, male, 4. And we can order them in the same way from right to left, where we consider the last item as -1, and then number 40 -2, true -3, and so on. Remember, as I said, we can change any of these items without affecting the rest of the items, and this is the reason we call it changeable. With this in mind, let us look on these 5 lists which I created. The first list, it's a combination of strings, like what you can see here. We put the strings between the quotation signs like apple, banana, cherry, kiwi, orange, blueberry. And notice here that apple start by lowercase letter, but kiwi, orange, and blue, they start by capital case letter. And when we come to sorting towards the end of this video, I will show you how can we resolve this issue. But on the other hand, I showed you a long list of integer. because this is what we'll come back to it later, that the list is not like 5 or 6 items. We can put tons of numbers, tons of items, and by doing this, we can create a long list, which might be hard for us to search through this list. And we use Python code to help us searching the list, removing some of the items, updating some of the items, and so on. The third list, it's Boolean, like true, false. List number 4, it's a mix between strings, numerical, integers, and Boolean. List number 5, it's a list inside a list. So I will pick the first 4 items, and remember here I put it in this surprising sign. Please, when you create a list, try to avoid any space. So I'm gonna copy these 5 lists. I take it here to the compiler. This time I'm using Trinket, which is similar to Google Lab, so Colab. So feel free to use any one of them. Both of them will run the code. So here I have 4 items. And remember, when you start any line, make sure to use a small letter, not capital letter, and make sure there is no space. If you get an error, check usually the first letter in your word, make sure it's a small letter, including print. Because I know when you start the printing by mistake, you can put P capital letter. If we do P capital letter, then we will get error in our code. And then I will run this code. As you can see here, when you run a code, it prints all the lists in one line. So if you take a look here, it's one long line. And now I would like to show you how can we join 2 lists together. So I will pick the second code and I will put it here where we create a new list, list number 6, which is a combination of 3 lists, 1, 2, and 3, and I say run. But look here, what happened is when I print the list number 6, you can see all of them, they come in one column, not horizontal, but vertical, because we used a loop where we go through all the items. How we use this loop, we say for, we use command for item, it means X, Y, Z. In this list, which is number 6, I say print these items one by one. Finally, when we count, we can count certain items in this list. So for example, I will say here, I would like to know how many times number 3 has been repeated in the second list. If you check the second list here, you see a lot of numbers. And this might be easy for you, but in other lists, it might be too long to catch it with your eye. And you would like to look for a certain number or certain word or certain Boolean. So what you should do is we say item, list number 2, count. How many times number 3 has been repeated in list number 2? And then I will run the code. You can see here at the end, I got number 3. If you check list number 2 here, you will see that number 3 has been repeated 3 times. And by the way, if you would like to show only the result of one equation, you can put hash sign before any line. And by the time you put hash sign, Python will not read this command. So it will be like text for yourself. So you see here, I put hash sign in all of the commands and I run. Because I put hash sign to list number 2, so Python couldn't recognize it. So I will remove it from here and then I will run and I will get here number 3, which means Python ignored all the previous commands and then goes to list number 2, which I identified. So the first point you need to remember in lists is the definition. It's a group of items, ordered, changeable. It could have different types of items like strings, integer, Boolean, and mix. The next point we need to know is the length. Can we count the length or the number of items in the list? Yes, we can do that by doing this command. So here I create a list, I call it my list, and this list has 5 items. So if I run the code here, it will show me number 5, which means that in my list, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I know the numbering start by 0, but when we count all the items, so we have 5 items. The next point you need to know is how to access certain item in the list. Now the list is 5 items, so you can pretty easy add or change any one of them, but if the list has like 200 items, it might be hard for you to do it manually. So we do something, we call it a slicing. What do we mean by slicing? We chop the list, cut it into small pieces, search for certain item, and then try to play with it. So for example, here in this list, my list, I have 5 elements. And then I will create the code that says, show me the first item in this list, which is item 0. And I run the code and I will get the answer. The first item in the list, item 0, is ABC, which is correct. Now I can tell him, show me the last item. When you say last item, you have 2 options here. Either to show item number 4, because we start counting from 0, or you show -1. So here I will change this one and I put -1 and I run the code and I get the last item here. So if it's hard for you to count all the items in the list, you can go by -1 and Python will go straight forward to the last item. Now I can slice it into bigger chunks. Here, as you can see in my presentation, I put this one. What do you mean by :2? It means here I ask Python to start counting from the beginning up to the last number before 2. So for example, we start by 0, 1, and 2. When I show :2, it means show me item 0 and 1, but drop off 2 or stop at number 1. So here we put :2, and then we run the code. And here we get ABC and 34, item number 0 and 1. But we don't add up 2. So please remember, if you put a number, you know that Python will stop right before this number. How about if I switch it? I say, show me from item number 3 to the end. So here it will start counting from 3, which is number 40. So here it will show me the next, starting from 3 and go to the end. So if you say :2, Python will start counting from 0 up to the last number before 2. But if I say 3 : space, here I will start from 3 and go up to the end. If I would like to get something in the middle, so I will put here, start from item 1 to 3. And here you see, start from item number 1, 31, 2, and that's it. So we stop by number 2, which is right before 3. So we get 2 items. Also, we can go by minus. So I will tell Python, start slicing the list from -3 up to -1. So here it will give me -3, -2, and then it will stop. It will not give me -1. So please remember, if you write any number here on the right, you know that Python will stop at the last number before the right number. And this way we can cut the list into small slices. We call it slicing. The next point, how can I check for a certain item if it exists in the list? So I created this simple code. Let us go through it together. So here I create my list. It has several items. And I am asking Python, check if the word true, it's in this list, print yes, it is there. If it's not, say I couldn't find. And we run the code. See here, because true is there, Python said it is there. Now, let us search for another one. I'm gonna put here X, Y, Z. And let us search if X, Y, Z is there. You see here, I get an error. We can put, because it's a string, we can put here a quotation sign. You see, because X, Y, Z is not in the list, then Python will give us the answer, it's not in the list. So by doing this, we check if there is a certain item exists in the list or it doesn't exist. The next point we need to know is, how can I change certain items? So by the way, when you create a code, first you search for the item, so we use this code, then we change a specific item. So how can we change it? So I say here, I have my list, which has 5 elements, but now I need to go to the second one, which is 34, and I need to change 34, make it 56, and then print it. So here, when you check this one, you can see that here we have ABC, and then 56 instead of 34. But the rest of the items are the same. So this can tell you that we can change a certain item in list. Remember, this is different when you come to tuple. We cannot change the tuple, but we can change the items here in the list. Also, I can remove this item and I add several items. So I can remove 34, but I can add several items, and this is what I'm put in the second code. So here you see my list. It has 5 items, but then I put the code is for item 1, because it says here, slice it 1 to 2. For item 1, remove it, which is 56, and then put 56 false, female, 873 XYZ, and then print the new one and tell me the length. If you check here, my list, it has 5 elements. Let us add up the new elements and then see the number of items in the list. If you click it here, I get an error, so I need to check where is the error here. The error because I have spaces between my items in the list. So when I remove the spaces, then the code will go. And I'm so glad that we have these errors in my presentation. So when you run your code and you find error, please don't get it discouraged. It might be something simple, you need to fix it, and then it will work out. So here we get it. And then it shows me that I have some issues here. Invalid character. Yeah, you see this quotation sign? I know it's very small, but these ones, it's not taken by Python. So what we need to do is just to change it into the right format that are taken by Python, and then it should be working fine. So here you go. Click it, now it runs. So please, again, I repeat it. When you do the code, if you get an error, don't get panicked. It's just to check where is the error. Try to read the message, and then you will be able to fix it. So let us go back to our example. Here we have 5 elements, and then I added 5 more, so it's 10. But remember, we start counting by 0. So we have here 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So here we have all the 9 elements together. So please remember that when we do the list, we can identify certain item, slice it, and then change any item. Now, how can I add one item? I said we can do it this way, but also there is another command which we call it insert. And here I will show you how can we make it. So we click first the code. Remember, as I said, that you don't leave any spaces in the code. Second, we check the command, it should be fine. Then we run. Now you can see here, I have ABC, but the first item I say insert XYZ, and here I inserted XYZ. So now it's gonna be ABC, XYZ, and then we leave the rest of the items as they are. In the previous slide, I was trying to replace the item, but here I insert a new item. Also, we can append. What do we mean by append? We can add the item at the end of the list. And this is what you will see it here in this short code. So make sure that the list is clean. It doesn't have any spaces or dots. And then you run. Oh, here it tells me that there is a space. So I delete this one and you run, you get the same item. So here we have ABC 34 true, 40 nil, and then I appended the list by adding a new item. So remember, you can replace the item, you can add the item by using insert or append. How can I add several items? We use a command called extend, and in this function, we can extend the list. So here we have my list and then list one. And now I need to extend my list by adding all the items in list one. So here you go. So you see that the first part, it's my original list. But then I extended the list by another list. And I have the new list, which has 10 items, a total of the two lists. Also, we can use this command, which is append. So we have append or extend. But in the second one that I'm going to show it to you now, in this function, we use loop. So when I use for, it means I am looping around the code. So here we have a problem. So we have here my list, list one for. Yes, you see where is the problem? The P letter is capital. So if I put it small, capital, or lowercase, then it should run okay. So please remember when you copy the code, so from my presentation, put it on the compiler and try to run the code, make sure that everything is correct and it should run properly. So remember how to use the different functions like append, insert, extend, looping, and so on. Now let us move to another part, which is removing the items. So I showed you the definition, then I showed you how to add new items to the list, and now let us remove some of the items. Here, if I would like to remove the first occurrence or the first time the item has been mentioned, we can use remove. So here we have list number 4. As you can see in this list, the word true has been repeated several times. If I would like to remove only the first time that true has been mentioned, I will say remove true. Look here, you have ABC, 34, and then I dropped off true, and then 40, but the other true are still there. So how can I remove all the times that the word true has been mentioned there? We use this command, which we call it looping around the list. So here I have list 4 that has all the items. I say for item, and please, when you say item, you can put anything here. It doesn't have to be the word item. You can say for X or for Y or for element, you can do anything. So for each item in list, and which list I am referring to? I am referring to list number 4, which is this one. When you put 2 equal signs, it means equal. But if I put 1 equal, I identify the element by putting a variable to this element. So in Python, if we need to use equal to mean equal, then we have to put 2 equal signs after each other. And I say, if this item is true, it means if this item is the word true in my list, please remove it. Remove this item. And I run it here. Now, if you look at the printout, you see that true has been dropped off from the whole list. So in this slide, I'm trying to show you how to remove only the first occurrence and how to remove all the occurrences of one item from the list. Another command we can use is pop. Pop also, it has the same meaning as remove, but it's another way of deleting the item. So here we have list number 4. I say for list number 4, pop item number 3. And here it is. So we have ABC, we have 34, true, and then true again. So item number 3, which is 40, has been dropped. Or I can use another function, which we call it del. So here I'm going to use this one, del number 3, and I get the same answer. And this is the reason I put it here in my slide, either to use pop or to use del, which is short for delete, and both of them will give you the same function. Another one is to return back the removed item. So to return it back, we say here X list number 4 pop 3 and then print X, and here it will show me the print out. Again, where is the problem here? X is not defined because here you see it's capital X, but here it's a small x. So what I need to do is change capital X, make it small, and run the code, and I get it back. So I'm so glad that we keep seeing these error messages that can help you when you run the code, you know how to handle each problem. Now, the next point is, if I would like to delete the whole list, what shall I do? You can use this code, which is also pop. So here we say delete list 4, and it will be deleted completely. If you would like to prove it, say print list 4. Now, if I try to print list 4, I get an error. Why? Because he already deleted list 4. Of course, to give you an evidence of that, I'm going to remove this command and I say run. You see, here it prints out the whole list. But if you put delete, it will delete it. So when you try to print it, you get an error message. Another one is to use list4.pop. So if you use it, then you get here pop. And here, when you say pop and you leave a space, this means it will drop off the last item from the list. So if you check here, it's ABC 34, blah, blah, blah. But the last word, which is false, is not there. So this can tell you that you can use different function to do the same thing or something similar. If you would like to clear the list content, you can use the function or method clear. So remember what I'm telling you, we call it functions or methods. So if you run it here, then it became clear. If you would like to prove it, you say print list 4. It's empty. So what is the difference between these two functions? If you say del list 4, this one, it will delete it completely. So Python doesn't recognize it anymore. But if you use clear method, it will show you the list but empty. It has no items inside. Now, let us talk about looping around the list, which we already discussed in the previous slide. Here I say print all the items in the list, not vertical, horizontal, but vertical. So here we say, we put the list, and then we say for item in list 4, print item. And here you can see, you put them vertical. So in the first couple of slides, I've been showing you how to do it horizontal, but here it will show you how to do it vertical. And the same thing which we discussed earlier, how to remove certain items. Now let us talk about another code which is removing all the occurrences, and we create a new list. So here is list number 4. New list is empty. For item in list 4, if A, so you can see here, ABC has A, male has A, false has A. If A in item, create a new list and append this item. So let us check here. Here we have a problem because of the quotation sign. So I'm gonna copy this one, male, and I will put it here around A, because Python doesn't recognize this quotation sign. And run the code again. For an item argument of type, and it's not iteratable. So let us put 4 and see how it works. Also, it's the same when you string. Okay. The argument of type integer is not iteratable. Let me see if male, I'll put the full word and see. Yeah. Okay, I will look at this code and I will try to fix it and show it to you in another presentation to save the time of this presentation. And now let us look at the last item, which is sorting the list. How can we sort the list? As I mentioned earlier, we can sort them ascending or descending, and we can use case-sensitive list. So here we have the new list, which has strings, and then I created another one of integers, and we need to sort them. So let us sort the alphabetical one, and you click here. It will show you starting by B, banana, then kiwi, mango, orange, pineapple. So here I sort them ascending. How about if I need to make it descending? So I say reverse equals true. If the reverse is true, please sort them out. And here you see that it starts by pineapple, then orange, mango, kiwi, and so on. Now I'm gonna change some of them. So I will put here mango, M capital, and then banana, B capital. And then I will sort them ascending, and look what you will get. Because some of them are uppercase, some of them are lowercase. You see here that the sorting is incorrect. So you start by banana, mango, because you sort first the capital letter and then the lower letter. But what about if I need to ignore the case sensitive? So here I say key equals strings lower. So here we ignore the lower and uppercase, and we start again to get the right way of sorting. So we see banana, kiwi, mango, regardless of their first letter. Of course, the same thing, I do it here for integers to show you that we can do the same thing for integers. So I have 5 elements here, and then I can sort them. I get a problem because I need to delete all the spaces between them. So we run them and we get 23, 50, 65. So here I make it ascending. And of course I can do descending, which is reverse equals true. And then you run it, you get them descending. So I hope you find this short video useful, talking about the first data type, which is lists. The last point is copying the list. We can copy the list together. So here we copy the list and then we can print it as a new list. So please take your time to stop the video in the middle, try to run the code on Google Colab or another items, and make sure that you understand it. If you face any problem, feel free to reach out to me either by email or by chat, and then we can work it out together. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.